Hi guys, um, I'm sorry I'm late, but I'm uploading this before the regular deadline, so I'm not too late. So it's finally time to read my Common App essay. I'm sorry about the background noise. I'm in uh, sort of a public place, um, and yeah, I'm just gonna jump into it because essay videos get really boring, and yeah, I'm gonna start reading my Common App essay. Okay, I had to change my location. There was too much background noise. Before I jump into the essay, I want to give some context on what the essay is about and what the general theme is. So, the essay is about a skin condition that I've had for virtually all my life now called vitiligo. It's where your skin has white patches on it. It basically loses color, and it was a big source of insecurity throughout my life. I never told my friends. Nobody knew. It was just my family. And yeah, writing it in my Common App essay and talking about it in front of all of you, my large audience on YouTube, is a big step. So, but yeah, I'm gonna do it. So yeah, the prompt that I went for was the failure one. The lessons we learn from failures can be fundamental to success. In so yeah, the title is Sorted, Not Shorted. 5 p.m. August 2019. The adrenaline rush of competing in the ISSO Table Tennis Nationals coursed through my veins. As I inched towards my table, all eyes turned towards me. The crowd stared, not at me, but at the white vitiligo patches on my legs. The hunger to prove myself battled against every moment of insecurity in the last 7 years. Amidst the familiar sneers, Nolan's inception reenacted itself. I felt as if I was in a dream, with the minutes seeming like ages. 8 a.m., April 2012. Hopeful and rumbling, I rushed past the corridor in my little denim shorts. I was finally here. The castle from my dreams, the Hogwarts from my books, JPIX. I was ready to be sorted, with Gryffindors or with Hufflepuffs, Hermiones or Dracos. I knew I belonged here. 4B, I entered. The giggles and sneers that day, like dementors, sucked out my confidence and excitement, leaving nothing but fear and insecurity. I was a mudskin, an oddity who didn't belong. Everyone's eyes were on my legs, but mine fixed to the ground. The next few years left me floating around like nearly headless Nick, trying to fit in. Be it through track pants, long socks, or skin colored foundation, hiding the spots became a ritual to my being. I skipped pool parties and picked table tennis instead of football. Every choice I made was influenced by the wardrobe attached to it. Embarrassed to annex the outdoor playgrounds, I found sanctuary in computer science and mathematics. Behind text editors and problem sets, I was more myself than anywhere else. Over time, I understood that my fight wasn't to cure my spots, but to accept them. Whilst finding success in Google coding or additional mathematics, I also realized my potential beyond numbers and algorithms. Be it through curating a vegan diet in the 7th grade, to combat the side effects of corticosteroids, or deciding to participate in cross country races, I found confidence. Through the realization that my choices and actions define me far more than my limitations ever could, I found myself. Even though my skin was turning white, I found color in my life. 5:07 August 2019. Today, as the entire stadium stares, I find myself in 4B again. Only I'm not afraid anymore. My spots, like Harry's car, used to terrify, hinder, and weaken me. However, as my courage and skill took charge, they transformed, carried, and empowered me. Today, the glare of my spots is meager, not in appearance, but in effect. Almost having reached my table, I was empowered with the idea that the value of struggle was more than that of outcome. The match was more important than the result. Every time my code failed, every time the database crashed, through every match I lost and every silver medal I won, I kept the golden lesson with me, the value of struggle. In the future, I would never back down from setting afoot uncharted territories, for every obstacle uncovers a new, stronger part of me. I wouldn't hesitate to step out of my realms of Python and Rubik's Cubes to give a paintbrush a whirl. I wouldn't mind putting down my table tennis racket to try my hands, or should I say feet, at dancing. And most importantly, I'd never back down from a fight. I had reached my table, not me, but a different Sarthak who wasn't afraid of losing, but of not giving it his all. A Sarthak who was unafraid, not only behind a computer screen, but also at pool parties. The sorting hat gives you a choice, and I chose to be brave. I shook my opponent's hand, ready to win. Not just the match, but the day. I gripped my racket and positioned myself. Everyone's eyes on my legs, but mine on the ball. Okay, so for the last part of this video, I'm gonna try to give some advice on what I think should go in a good Common App essay or a good college essay in general. The first and I think the most important one would be meaningful and personal. Um, Whatever topic you choose, it should be meaningful to your life, and it should not be something that's superficial. It should be personal to you. And to show you guys how that reflects in my essay, I wrote about a skin condition that I've faced all my life, and it's obviously very important to my life today, and it's very personal. And whatever topic you choose to write about, it doesn't have to be something exactly like mine, but whatever you end up writing about, the most important thing that you can do with it is it should be meaningful to your life. The second thing I can say is that when you pick a topic, what's important is that your theme is relevant to who you've become as a person today, and ideally it should show some sort of growth. Again, uh, looking at my essay as an example, it shows growth through showing how I used to be really insecure, and how I learned to accept myself, and how I learned to love myself and became confident in who I was. Because nobody would want to read an essay that says that, oh, I've been a genius all my life and I'm still a genius, so you guys should accept me in your college. Like, while that might be true for some of you, I don't know, but it's not a great story to read. The essay should ideally, like, there obviously is no ideal way to do it, but according to me, this is just my personal opinion, I think it should contain an event or some series of events or some series of realizations that changed you, and how that growth took place. I think it should be very explicit, that you show what was it that made you realize. In my essay, I speak about how in my years in high school, how I found sanctuary in computer science, mathematics, and how over time I realized that my identity could go beyond those things. Now, in some essays, it could be just one climactic point that changes everything in your life, but I think it's somewhat more realistic that it's a culmination of a lot of things, not just one single thing. Um, and another element of the essay that's important, I think, is writing about what happens after growth. For example, again, in my essay, after I finished talking about how I changed my thinking and how I changed the way I looked at myself, after that, I talk about how in the future I would try this, how I would try that, how I would not back away from obstacles. And they want to see that whatever journey you went through, it made you a better person, a more effective person. One more thing that is very less important, but I included it because I think it's somewhat um, necessary, considering that you want your reader to be engaged. So this thing is writing it in a way that is interesting. So by that, what I mean is that it shouldn't feel robotic, right? So again, taking my essay as an example, I think makes it more interesting is analogies. I would like to apologize to anyone who has no idea what Harry Potter is and read my essay, because you wouldn't have understood a lot of the references I made. But assuming that any person in their right minds, like, should read Harry Potter, um, I I just assume that my readers would have read Harry Potter. And using an analogy of any kind, anything that's interesting to you, it makes essays interesting to read. Making references, it can give you cool sentences to add, stuff like me comparing my spots to Harry's car. The entire thing about the sorting hat, how the sorting hat gives everyone a choice. Again, this is not important at all unless, like, if you don't have the other stuff done correctly, this will not help you at all. Just having an analogy does not make a good essay. Having a good analogy can only make a very good essay more interesting to read. That's the only thing it can add. Um, One final piece of advice, I think, which is, in my opinion, very important, probably the most important piece of advice, is keeping it as real and genuine as possible. A lot of people try to come up with a fake story or a very exaggerated story. I understand that everyone exaggerates or overplays events a little bit. The story you tell should be a true story, and it should be genuine, and it should be something that is actually meaningful to you. It shouldn't be something that you think would sound meaningful to an admissions officer, and that's the only reason you wrote it. For example, this story about me in a table dance match, this is a true story. I went for this competition for my school, and I was wearing very long rolled up socks up to my knees, and I pulled them down for one game, and it was a very bad experience. So everything that I wrote in my story is true. All of that has happened to me. So one, the biggest piece of advice I can give to you is be genuine and honest with the story you choose to tell. So yeah, I think that's all the advice I have.